Warning: this video contains spoilers for the book Bakugan: The Evo Tournament. Hello everyone, my name is Jesse and welcome to a Bakugan book review. Not something I thought I'd be doing, but I discovered a book called the Bakugan Evo Tournament. It's right here. I'll pull up some pictures as well so you can get more high quality images of it. But I discovered this book while looking for my unreleased Legacy Bakugan video, looking for information for that. And it piqued my interest. There was a new Bakugan and a new character in it I had never seen before. I have my script up. There is a lot to talk about. The book is titled, as I said, and in the title and everything like that, Bakugan: The Evo Tournament. It was written by Nunzio De Filippis and Christina Ware, and illustrated by Chris Sisson. I hope I'm pronouncing all of those right. But before I jump into the summary, I want to remind you all that I post Bakugan content regularly, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss an upload. Now, let's get into the video. So, to give a brief summary of this book before I talk about the things I liked about it, I think it's very important to set up exactly what happens because it's super interesting and also gives a lot to talk about. So, this story takes place between episodes 18 and 19 of the first season. We know this because Marucho is missing his Preyas throughout the entire story. He thinks it was sent to the Doom Dimension, but in reality, Klaus stole it in the battle at the end of what I believe is episode 17, where he fights Cyranoid. There is no other point in time where Preyas is missing and all the Bakugan are unevolved in the book. It's also during these episodes the Brawlers are trying to race Masquerade and get Drago to evolve into the Ultimate Bakugan. So throughout, pretty much episodes 17, 18, and 19, you hear a lot of talk about getting Drago to evolve into the Ultimate Bakugan. The book opens with this cool little rendition of the show's intro with the "My whole world changed one day" line. We also get a cool shot of all the characters, all of which are in this book except for Alice and Masquerade. They're only seen on these pages, and that's pretty much it. We don't see them again. I don't really know why Alice is not in the book as much. She's mentioned that one time, and that's it. Never hear from her again. They don't even mention her in dialogue, so it's weird. The story follows the Brawlers, where Marucho is on a mission to see if he can get Preyas back from the Doom Dimension. While looking online, he discovers a forum talking about the Evo Tournament with a person named Cybrawler. This, of course, piques Dan's interest, as he wants Drago to evolve into the Ultimate Bakugan, so he seeks out a way to get accepted into the tournament, only to discover that it's an invite-only tournament. They can, however, battle players who have tickets, win their tickets, and that way get accepted into the tournament. Ultimately, it's Julie who wins the ticket, and Dan does this slightly out-of-character thing where he just takes the ticket and is really rude about it. Dan is usually impartial to others' feelings in the show, but the book makes it seem a little harsher. This is the only time in the book I disagree with the author's takes on the characters' personalities. Otherwise, they are fantastic. More on that later, though. Through the explanation of the Battle Brawlers fight to win tickets, we discovered that the tournament has a bracket, where players fight in one of 4 arenas. Those winners go to a new bracket, and then the winner of those brackets fight a one-on-one. Then that winner fights the champion, who has won the past 3 Evo tournaments. The beginning bracket takes place in either a cruise ship, forest, desert, or the mountains. Those winners then go to a mansion where the rest of the brawls take place. The tournament has this twist where players can bid their Bakugan's G-Power. Each new brawl has higher stakes, and the winner of the tournament gets all of the bidded G-Power points. Which is ideal, since if Dan wins this, Drago could evolve from the increased G-Power. This is another one of those cool and often overlooked parts of the series, that in the early stages of the show, Drago would sometimes win a fight due to random surges of energy that increased his G-Power. We also see Hydronoid do this when we first meet him in that first battle. It's easy to forget that Bakugan can evolve by G-Power, similar to Pokemon with experience points. Oftentimes, we see an outside force or use of mechanical parts that force Bakugan to evolve or get stronger. While researching the tournament, the Brawlers discovered that the champion is someone named Katie Lowery, who's won the tournament 3 times using a Bakugan called Chamelia, which all the Brawlers' Bakugan are shocked to hear because they thought that Chamelia were extinct. These are the only images shown of Chamelia in the book, and Tigrera describes this Bakugan as one that mimics other Bakugan. It can change shape, size, and attribute. and it even mimics the opponent brawler's ability cards. Needless to say, it is a very difficult Bakugan to brawl with, and takes skill to have won the tournament 3 total times. Moving forward, Dan enters the tournament, but not before Runo also enters, beating a person for their ticket in an attempt to stop Dan from winning, as she suspects something is wrong in the tournament. They are, however, in different brackets, and need to move up in the tournament to face each other. Dan in the Cruise bracket, and Runo in the Forest bracket. Meanwhile, Shun thinks that the person Marucho is talking to online, Brawler, is actually Katie Lowery, who he knew from the past because she had a Chamelia as well. They then go and investigate where she lives. There they discover that she is in fact Brawler. There is some interesting exchange where Katie tells Julie, Shun, and Marucho to leave, so I'm not too sure what that's about, but it just also keeps adding to the fact that something is up. They also find some interesting machinery used in the Evo tournament being moved, and they end up having to jump in the water to hide. So lots of suspicion, something's clearly up with this tournament. Runo and Dan also both win their respective brackets and move up to the next one, which is located at the mansion. This is also the same place where the rest of the brawlers are, so they are all reunited. Some strange stuff happens, however, and Tigrera and Drago eventually struggle to remember things, and eventually they stop talking altogether. Other brawlers also think it's crazy that their Bakugan can talk, so some strange stuff is happening where Dan and Runo can remember their Bakugan talking, their Bakugan can barely talk or don't remember things, and the opponent brawlers, the brawlers they're fighting, think they're crazy for trying to talk to a toy. It's during this time at the mansion we also meet Dr. Noah Lowery, which is Katie's father and the inventor of the tournament. He hosts this, and we also see him refereeing battles. It's interesting because he is technically one of 2 adults that ref Bakugan or see Bakugan fight. We have Dr. Lowery and then Hal G, or Dr. Michael. So the only humans that are adults that battle, really, at this point in time, or know that what Bakugan are these 2 adults. So super interesting point there as well. During a slower moment, Julie, Marucho, and Shun find Katie outside on a dock, while Dan and Runo are battling in the second bracket. This is when we meet her Bakugan, Mecha Chamelia. Gorham and Skyrus immediately say upon seeing it that that is definitely not Chamelia, and in fact a machine. Katie says she has no idea what they're talking about, and that's the way her Bakugan has always been. Even Shun says that that is not the same Bakugan, and remember, Shun knows Katie from earlier in the Bakugan days. So weird things are going on, and both Bakugan and Brawlers are losing their memories. Both Dan and Runo win their bracket, meaning they're going to face each other, while Katie goes to this weird machine with Mecha Chamelia. Skyrus and Gorham follow, doing some reconnaissance, and discover quite a lot. They discover that Mecha Chamelia controls Katie essentially and orders her around. Katie's original Chamelia was sent to the Doom Dimension in a battle with Masquerade. The strange machine harnesses all the bidded G-power from the tournament to then give to Mecha Chamelia so it can evolve. It wants to evolve badly so it can feel like it fits in with other Bakugan. The Mecha Chamelia was created by Katie's dad, Dr. Lowery, to help with the loss of her original Bakugan. Chamelia messed with the machine to get stronger, but in doing so, the machine had a side effect of making people forget things, and this caused Dr. Lowery and the others to become more complacent and unaware of the damage the tournament could have. At this point in the book, Skyrus and Gorham fight Mecha Chamelia before it runs away, and Dan and Runo face off. At this point, all Bakugan have lost their memories, and none of them are talking to their brawlers. The brawlers also have no memory that their Bakugan can talk. Marucho seems to be the only one slightly unaffected, as he doesn't have Preyas and knows he needs to stop the tournament and shut down the machine. Runo and Dan battle, Runo trying to stop Dan from winning, and this results in a tie of all things, where it's decided that they will have to face Katie and Mecha Chamelia together. Marucho starts to mess with the machine to see if he can fix it, and Runo and Dan fight Katie. It's a really cool battle where we see some of the awesome moves that Chamelia has, literally morphing into a Mecha Tigrera and also a Mecha Drago. It also uses the same cards they have. It's a tougher battle, but in the end, the combination of Marucho fixing the machine and reversing its effects, and Tigrera and Drago's strength, they win the battle, winning the whole tournament. With everything coming to a close, everyone apologizes to each other, and the Bakugan accept Mecha Chamelia as a true Bakugan, and everyone goes home. The end. That is the whole summary of the book. But we are not done just yet. The book also does a lot of amazing things, pointing out a lot of things, and creating some really cool concepts. But first, I want to show off the character designs a bit more because they're perfect. I love the character designs. They are really well done. So here is Marucho, Shun, Dan, Bruno, Julie, Dr. Lowery, and finally, Katie Lowery. The writing in this was also able to capture each of the brawlers' personalities so well. Marucho still has his brains and timidness, Shun with his quiet brooding, Bruno with her temper, Julie with her flirtatious personality, and Dan, who aside from the one ticket incident with Julie, is spot on. He even puts his sunglasses on during a battle, which I thought was a super cool throwback, because we only really see him use them once. There was also one thing I found strange in the book, which was Skyrus's design. In the book, they gave her 4 feet instead of just the 2 feet. I'm not really sure what the thought process on this was, as the book was written in 2010, and by then, Skyrus had a pretty strong and established character design. So, interesting, not sure what was going on there. There are also some cool expressions in the book, one of them being when Julie, Marucho, and Shun have to dive into the water to hide while investigating machinery for the tournament. Just Marucho's face and Julie complaining about her hair is just perfect to me. And you can see all these sorts of interactions, dialogue, and expressions throughout the entire book. They really make it enjoyable, and I definitely smiled a lot. This book also introduces a whole new layer to mechanical Bakugan, which were once thought to really be introduced in Season 2 with Helios, unless you count Bakugan like Laserman, though it's never specifically mentioned Laserman was built by someone and instead came from Vestroya, but chronologically this means that Mecha Chamelia and Dr. Lowery are the first to make and become Mecha Bakugan, and I appreciate that it explores this idea of if a mechanical Bakugan is really a Bakugan at all. The story also takes place at a great time where it can fit into the show, but not necessarily need to be mentioned. Nothing huge changes story-wise, so it can fit in nicely between episodes. I read somewhere that the reason it is never mentioned is because they all forgot about the tournament due to a memory wipe, but that's false, as they all have their memories restored and leave the tournament area and the mansion knowing everything that happened. Regardless, it doesn't really need to be mentioned because it fits nicely between episodes 18 and 19 and doesn't disrupt or interrupt the show's flow. I also really like Mecha Chaimelia's design. It's obviously influenced by chameleons, which can change their colors and adapt to its environment. It would be amazing to see a 3D model of this Bakugan, and I would be more than happy to work with anyone who wants to tackle a project like that. I could supply images, use my own 2 cents on the design, but I think it would definitely be a cool one to 3D model and print, and would be an awesome one to have to the collection. Overall, this was a great book and an easy read. I read it over the course of a day, kind of picking it up and putting it down whenever I had time. It's a nice piece of Bakugan history, and it also fits the collection well if you're someone who's into collecting more merchandise or memorabilia instead of just Bakugan themselves. I hope you guys enjoyed this book review. This is something new and very different on the channel, but very neat nonetheless, and I want to know what you guys thought. Would you read the book, and would you like to see Mecha Chamelia come to life? Let me know in the comments below, and with that, I will see you in the next video. My name is Jesse. Peace out.